believe that our cultures are all that different in terms of the roots of them? Because basically when you talk to people, they all basically have some of the same kinds of goals and objectives and feelings about each other that makes good cultures, cultures that really are meaningful to people. They're the same. People, we have the same desire. We want the same for our children. We want to breathe healthy air. We want to live, we don't want to live in shelters on refugee camps. Nobody. I know people used to say that about black folks. Oh, they just want to live like that. They like living over there, you know, with the roaches and the rats and garbage isn't picked up and the building is falling down. They like that. Nobody likes that. And we should never allow anybody to say that about anybody. Oh, the Mexican workers, they like to work real hard and act like mules and carry these things on their shoulders when there's big machinery that can dig out the foundations of the building. No, they don't like that. They need a job. They need money. They need to help people because our countries and others have devastated, as people were talking about, privatized many things that has caused a disruption in the economy and jobs where they could actually feed each other. You remember the Smithfield incident where people were talking about the H1N1 flu, the swine flu? One of the things that they didn't talk about very much was that Smithfield was under the gun because of unhealthy practices in their factories in the United States. So what did they decide to do? They went to Mexico and got workers there who were going to be making more money than they would make down there. But lo and behold, they realized what they were being exposed to. So they infected, and actually many people died there. They hardly ever talk about that. So the companies that live here need to be penalized in terms of them going other places and exploiting other workers and not providing them the same living wage. Imagine a world where everybody made a livable wage. Everybody. And we set the standard of what that should be, not them. We don't say, okay, in China you can make $3, but over here you can make $5. No, we decide. Imagine, where the hell would they go? Imagine a world where everybody every employer would have to be under the same health and safety regulations. Imagine going around the world and everybody had the same maternity leave and vacation time. Is that world possible? Yes. Has anybody been to Cuba? Yes. The Soviet Union used to be like that. China used to be like that in terms of providing. One of the things that impressed me when I went to Cuba was I had just come from my ASME, American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees Convention. And that's a convention where they're bodyguards that make sure you don't get up to the mic and say things they don't want you to hear, put forth any resolutions. So we go to the CTC, which is like their federation of unions. And one of the key things that were being put forth was to extend their 6-month paid maternity leave to a year. They went through a discussion about what are their priorities, what would it take to do it, voted and agreed that it would still be a year, that they would stick to that resolution of a year, paid maternity leave. That was on a Sunday, it was implemented on a Monday. How long in the United States are we waiting for paid family medical leave and for everybody to have maternity leave? This is exactly. And the reason why we're waiting is because we haven't built the kind of movement that's going to kick butt and make it implement. Our voices are not heard enough. Now these are women's issues. We don't have sufficient child care. We don't have protection against violence on our jobs. We don't have the right kinds of things going on in terms of making sure that nobody could just come and shoot you and beat you up, chop you up and bury you somewhere and walk away and be a free man. We don't have those things. And the only people that we can look at, because whenever you point a finger at one person, you're pointing 4 at yourself. So these 4 fingers are at me, and your 4 fingers at you. So what kind of movement, that's what we have to think about, needs to be built to make those things happen. Because do you think, we should have an understanding now that the treacherous people that are in charge are not going to change this because you ask them. Or go and lobby with a book this thick with all the stats about what it means to work and not have a living wage and how many people are not getting it, and they're saying, yeah, okay. Did any of them vote? No, I don't think so. Okay, well, we're fine. We'll take this under consideration somewhere down the line. They only the changes that we have now with the growing unemployment that we have across the world, and in particularly in the United States, and the numbers are increasing. Some people have never worked. In the Black and Latino communities, it's 40, 50, and 60% of unemployment, particularly among youth. How is that going to change? It has to change because we put forth bold resolutions about what should happen, and then we organize to make sure that it does happen. Because unemployment that many people enjoy in the United States, those that can get it, and asking and begging for it to be extended, it wasn't given to the workers in the United States because somebody went and lobbied Roosevelt. It was because Roosevelt and the other ruling class had to decide, do we give them this or do they take the whole ball of wax? Do they dismantle everything and kick us out? So we have medical insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, we have food stamps, we have tenant rights in New York, and we have unemployment insurance. None of those things existed in the 30s. None of them. And they only existed because people built a powerful enough movement to demand that those things happen. We don't have equal rights for women. We don't have that amendment. People have been trying to get it for decades. And one of the reasons why we don't have it is, one, unfortunately, the women's movement that was promoting that was primarily all white. And most of them not working class. So they didn't have a broad enough movement, number one. And number two, they didn't have a militant movement by any stretch of the imagination to force them. So we have to look at what doesn't achieve things and what does achieve things, and then talk about how we move accordingly. And anyone who wants to keep it nice and pretty and soft, you're in the wrong room and in the wrong world. Because that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You try organizing a union. Because see, a lot of people talk a lot of trash, and then when you ask them about what they're organizing, what they did, they don't do shit. They don't do anything. But they're always talking about it. But they never, and you're supposed to listen to them and also follow them. I'm going to follow the person who did it and took the lumps. I'm going to follow the person who succeeded and took the lumps. I'm going to follow the person who lost their job and got kicked out of the building. I'm going to follow the person who's homeless and dared to organize as a homeless person. I'm going to follow the person that said, I'm going to challenge the bosses not only at my job, but in my union, and win. I'm going to follow the person who knows how to talk to people regardless of their language, regardless of what country they were born in, and develop a comradeship that is sincere, honest, and strong. That's who I'm going to follow.